The wind carried the sharp sting of dust across the barren land as a little girl, barefoot and frail, clutched her baby brother against her chest, his tiny body trembling with hunger and weakness, his lips dry, his breaths shallow like whispers fading into the night, and though her own stomach cried for food, though her throat burned for water, she pushed forward with a determination far greater than her years, for she was only 7, yet in her heart she carried a strength forged not from comfort but from desperation and love, and as she stumbled toward the glow of firelight in the distance, where the silhouettes of Apache warriors rose like dark mountains against the night sky, her fear was swallowed by the urgency of her mission, because she knew that if she faltered now her brother's life would slip away forever, and when she reached the edge of their camp, trembling but unyielding, she lifted her voice, thin and cracked yet piercing in its sincerity, "Please, help me, I beg. You," she cried, and the warriors turned, their faces marked with suspicion, for they had seen deceit cloaked in innocence before, had known betrayal delivered in small packages, but when the scarred leader, Aguila Negra, Black Eagle, stepped forward and narrowed his eyes at her, he saw not deception but the unvarnished terror of a child who had nothing left to lose, and still she stood her ground, her voice shaking but clear as she pointed to the fragile boy in her arms. "He has not had milk in days. He will die tonight if you don't help me, please. I swear I will pay you back when I grow up." And those words, desperate yet filled with promise, carved their way into the silence like an arrow into stone, and the men exchanged glances, some skeptical, some moved, for in her eyes was not a plea for herself but a plea for another, a selflessness that pierced even the hardest of hearts, and though the Apache had no reason to trust her, something in her trembling form stirred memories of children they once carried, sisters, brothers, sons, and daughters lost to famine and war, and for the first time that night their suspicion wavered, until Black Eagle lifted his hand and commanded a woman to bring a clay jar of goat's milk, which the girl received with hands so small and shaky they could barely hold it, yet when she pressed it to her brother's lips and he drank, weakly at first then hungrily, life seemed to trickle back into his tiny frame, and tears rolled down her dusty cheeks as she whispered thank you over and over, her words tumbling like a river that had finally broken its dam, and though the men around her tried to keep their stoic faces, in their hearts something long dormant stirred, for they realized that true strength is not only in the sword or the bow but in the choice to extend a hand where none is obliged, and the girl, still weeping, clutched her brother close and repeated her vow, "I swear I will pay you when I grow up, I will never forget this." And those words stayed with them, echoing in the chambers of memory long after she left, for promises made in innocence often shine brighter than the vows of kings, and as time passed the girl returned again and again, sometimes with nothing to offer but a smile or a flower, sometimes with laughter that cut through the heaviness of their days, and the Apache, who once eyed her with suspicion, began to wait for her visits, for in her they saw a reminder that even in a world that taught them to be hard, tenderness could still find a place, and though she never brought money or riches, they came to understand that her debt was paid each time she reminded them of their humanity, and the boy she saved grew stronger with each visit, his laughter joining hers, and years later, when she returned not as a frail child but as a young woman carrying baskets of food and blankets for the tribe, she smiled and said, "Do you remember the night I swore I would pay you back? This is all I have, but it comes from my heart." And Black Eagle, older now, lines of time etched deep into his weathered face, looked at her with eyes softer than any had seen before and replied, "Little one, you paid us back the night you taught us that kindness is never wasted, that the greatest wealth is compassion." And in that moment the girl realized her vow had never been about coins or material debt, but about carrying forward the chain of goodness, and so she lived her life as a bridge between her people and the Apache, teaching that kindness knows no boundaries of tribe or blood, and her story was told and retold, until it became legend not of war but of love, reminding all who heard it that even the smallest, hungriest voice can awaken the mightiest hearts, and that a promise born from desperation can bloom into a legacy of hope. And though many years passed and the girl grew old, she never stopped believing in the power of those words. "I swear I will pay you back when I grow up," for they had not only saved her brother but had lit a fire of compassion in a place where it was least expected, proving that humanity's greatest victories are not written in battles but in the quiet, selfless moments when we choose to help another simply because we can. And so her life stood as proof that kindness, once given, never dies, it multiplies, it transforms, and it carries forward across generations until even the darkest night is touched by the light of hope.